For over 1,000 years, a single name in a sacred text was held up as this definitive, undeniable historical mistake. It was the smoking gun, the error the critics believed proved the whole thing was flawed. But as we're about to see, history had a surprise waiting, and it was carved in stone. Okay, so let's just dive right into this. I want you to imagine a claim that pretty much everyone agrees is wrong for 12 straight centuries. It's written off, it's dismissed, people probably even laughed at it. But what if one discovery, one single artifact, could just flip that entire understanding completely on its head? And this is where it all begins. A single verse. In the Quran, the Pharaoh of Egypt, the one from the time of Moses, he turns to a man named Haman and tasks him with a massive construction project. And this one little line, it sparked a debate that would literally last for generations. So, what's the big deal? Why was this one verse such a problem? Well, for centuries, the only other major source that anyone knew of that mentioned a guy named Haman was the Bible. And the two stories, they just did not up. Not even close. The argument from critics was pretty straightforward. They figured the author of the Quran must have heard the name Haman from Jewish stories, liked the name, and then just accidentally dropped him into the completely wrong time and place. A simple copy-paste error, they said, an anachronism. In this timeline, it really shows you the scale of the issue here. We're not talking about being off by a few years. The Quran places Haman in Egypt around 1300 BCE. The Bible puts him in Persia over 1,000 years later. That's not a small discrepancy. That's a massive historical canyon. And when you break it down, the contradictions are just crystal clear. Location, Egypt versus Persia. Time period, you've got the era of Moses versus the era of Esther. The guy he works for, Pharaoh versus King Ahasuerus. And his job is totally different. One's a builder, the other's a royal advisor. So based on all of this, you can see why the criticism seemed completely justified. But then, a discovery came along that changed absolutely everything. So the story pivots here. We're moving from ancient texts and debates to pure archaeology. See, the key to solving this mystery wasn't going to be found in more arguments. It was going to be found by reading the direct words of the ancient Egyptians themselves. Here's the thing. For millennia, the incredible history of ancient Egypt, all their records, their stories, their official titles, everything, was locked away behind the mystery of hieroglyphs. We could see all these incredible carvings, but we had absolutely no idea what they meant. It was a total historical blind spot. This is the year, 1799. This is a date that marks a massive turning point, not just for our story, but for our entire understanding of the ancient world. So, some French soldiers in Egypt, they stumble upon this big slab of stone. And it's got the same text written in 3 different scripts, one of which was Greek and another hieroglyphics. This was the key. The Rosetta Stone lets scholars finally crack the code of the ancient Egyptian language. It effectively reopened a lost world. And inside that world was an answer. Okay, so with this new ability to read hieroglyphs, historians could suddenly go back and look at artifacts that had just been sitting in museums for years, and for the first time they could actually understand what they were looking at. And the crucial piece of evidence, it wasn't some grand monument or a royal scroll. It was a humble limestone doorjamb, just an architectural fragment from ancient Thebes, the heart of Pharaoh's Egypt. It was sitting quietly in a museum in Vienna, just waiting for someone to finally be able to read its inscription. And when they did, they found something absolutely astonishing. The inscription mentioned an official in the court of the pharaoh, and his name? Haman. Exactly where the Quran said he would be. But believe it or not, that wasn't even the most incredible part. So this is the kicker. This is the crucial point. The Quran didn't just mention a guy named Haman in Egypt. It specifically tied him to a construction project. And what did the hieroglyphs on that doorjamb say? They gave Haman a title, Chief of the Stone Quarry Workers. Think about that. Not just the name, but the very specific job description, the head of construction. It was a perfect match. This discovery, it just forces us to go all the way back to the beginning and look at that original criticism with fresh eyes. Because what once looked like an obvious open and shut error now looks very, very different. Just think about the odds here for a second. The knowledge of how to read hieroglyphs was completely lost to humanity for thousands of years. So back in the 7th century, nobody on Earth could have read that doorjamb. By placing Haman in Egypt, the Quran directly contradicted the only source available at the time, the Bible. It made a claim that flew in the face of all known history, And then it took another 1,300 years for archaeology to dig up the proof that it was right all along. This quote just nails it. It really captures the complete 180-degree turn. What was once the prime example of a historical mistake became, after the decoding of hieroglyphs, this almost inexplicable piece of historical accuracy. The stone that unlocked a language also unlocked the answer to a 1,200-year-old debate. So we're left with this question. A detail that seemed so wrong for so long, turning out to be so specifically, unbelievably right. Was it just a lucky guess against impossible odds? A simple coincidence of a common name and job? Or was it something else entirely? The name was there, carved in stone, just waiting for us to learn how to read it.